Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Happy Sunday, cheers. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. Don't forget to check out the analytical the not the analytical eye show. Forget to check out the light of the Sunday. Okay, I uploaded a new song. I hope you guys will jam and rock out with me. That is now back in effect. Um, it's your boy Javier. So cheers. Thank you guys for watching again. Again, I'm rocking my orange. Today is all about uh, my orange drink, my orange cap, my orange outfit. Um, this episode won't be too long. I know I talk a lot, y'all. I know. I know my hour episodes is like, Jesus, these are movies. I'm hoping to eventually turn these into just straight audio and maybe doing like a podcast type of thing. So that way you have access to listen to this while you're driving. So you can just listen to my conversation. So that's one thing I'm trying to vamp to. Um, but I can't give all my secrets away because uh, uh, what's that saying? Don't uh, don't tell all your plans to everybody. Not it's not a saying, but or there's something my mom always said. It's not. I know my mom used to tell me, "When in war, maintain military silence." But one of the other things she's also just said, basically, like when you're planning stuff, don't tell everybody your plans. Sorry. Okay. Just don't tell everybody your plans because you know. But that would be one thing ideally I would like to do because it's not always easy to. I want to reach. I want to reach as many people as I possibly can, not just visually, but just through you hearing my voice talking. You know, and so the goal is to write and talk about stuff that you can relate to, and that we can experience together. And so that would be my hope for us is that you can listen to this while you're in your car, you can watch it at home with your family, preferably not your kids, because I cuss a lot and I'm not gonna not minimalize, is it minimalize? I guess yeah, minimalize, yeah, that's the word. I'm not gonna or minimize at least my verbiage and my vocabulary just because your kids is watching. So if you want your kids to hear the real uncut rated version of me, go ahead, but I'm not gonna edit this or anything like that for anybody. Anywho, um, this episode we're going to be talking about colorism. Now, I've kind of touched base on this with some of the specials I've done alongside doing alongside of some of the other stuff I've done in the past, but I feel like I haven't truly touched knee deep on this topic and how it has negatively affected the African American community and Africans as a whole. You know, um, colorism, I feel. Now, I don't know, and like I said, I've said this previously before. This show is not going to be factually based. It's not going to be data or data based. It's not going to be article based, where I'm pulling stuff from articles from what people have said because that's their opinion or what studies have shown, and I will do that sometimes, but vaguely. I did that on part two, which was yesterday's episode for the obese episode, and the stigma around that, because I wanted you guys to kind of get. I had to use those articles and some of the facts that were shown from those articles to support my argument and which sides were which and what this side was saying, what this side, what I was saying, what I agree with, what I don't agree with. You get my drift. And so with today, it's just not. I'm not gonna use any facts. I'm going to just go based off of my personal opinion and what I've seen on opposite sides of the fence and what I agree with and what I don't agree with when it comes to this colorism game. So colorism for me, I feel like started, and I've seen art. I did see a post about this, and this was shown through Blackish, which I'm sad that they, are not on television anymore. They had a great run, great run. but I heard that there was some friction between them and the network and stuff of what they were trying to do and what they really wanted to do and things of that nature. That's unheard, unspoken truth, but I believe that something had to do with that. Which at a later date in this season, I want to talk about talk shows and drama shows and stuff we have created that have suddenly just canceled or didn't get renewed after one season or was canceled mid-season, whatever the case is, and the reasons behind those or potentially reasons behind those. But anywho, I feel, which, like I said, Blackish kind of covered. A lot of people think colorism started, and I'm one of those people that think that colorism started back in slavery days, where darker slaves worked in the fields and were treated more poorly than the ones that were lighter skinned, which were the ones that were more aesthetically, physically, visually appealing to look at by house guests and other slave owners for sale and sexual appeal and stuff like that. I say this because there's in Africa, there are light skinned, dark skinned Africans and in between. But if you notice, a lot of dark-skinned Africans became slaves. And then what would happen, in my mind, this is how I'm processing it, so just bear with me. Slave owners would rape the slaves, right? Then they would birth a child, which would then still be a slave. But then you get the light skin. And then they would go and work in the house. And then those light-skinned slaves, because they got treated better, would then treat the dark-skinned slaves much worse. So then that turned into centuries and decades later, where then you have the brown paper bag, where if you were not lighter than that brown paper bag, or light just as light or lighter, you were not accepted into shows or acting roles or bars or into this event, or you were not accepted to do these things, or you weren't seen as one to buy from another slave to another slave owner. You know what I'm saying? For trade. And then you have it where a lot of times the culture of African American, I feel, is not also celebrated. If you are now in this day and age, being in 2022, the 21st century, where if you are a black person and you marry a white person and you have a baby, and that baby comes out light-skinned, you don't tell that baby that, hey, this is your black side, and teach that baby about the ethnic and the culture that baby comes from as far as being black, and they only support the white side or celebrate the white side of them, never really telling them where they come from as being black. You know what I'm saying? And not celebrating that part and highlighting that part in their life. Now, this all ties into colorism for me, because I feel that that's when it started, or could have started, but it's not factually based that that's when it started. But the tension between African Americans became, because if you look at Dorothy Dandridge and all of the actors, they were all treated poorly, because if you were considered darker than the brown paper bag, that means you couldn't pass as white. You know what I'm saying? And so you were treated badly. But all across the board, you being black, or looked like you're black and not white, you were treated badly, just not as bad. And I feel like within our own community, because it was like, haha, I'm light-skinned, I get treated a little better than you, I'm better than you. So you're dark-skinned, you ugly, you this, you that. And a lot of times you started to notice with light-skinned people that they're not as big in everything as the dark-skinned people are. The nose, the lips, the eyes, the hair, everything. And nothing's wrong with that. Because I feel our dark-skinned chick, like Lupita, that from 12 Years a Slave, is just as hot as Halle Berry. I think Monique is just as hot as Queen Latifah. You see where I'm going? I'm matching not only sizes, but skin tone complexions. They're all black. Just one may be mixed, one may be not. But you both are beautiful, And so this episode is not to bash light-skinned people or bash dark-skinned people. It's just to talk about colorism and kind of where it may have rooted from. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that one is better than the other, because at the end of the day, we're all still black. And to the white person, if you're black, you're black. It ain't no, oh, you're light-skinned or you're dark-skinned. Black is black to a white person, especially if they are part of a white supremacy group, or they're like for example the Aryan Brothers or the KKK or the Nazis. Black is black, and they don't give a damn if you light-skinned or dark-skinned, damn near so damn dark you look blue, and you know what I'm talking about. All shades of African Americans are beautiful. Now, like I said, I believe that it stemmed from once slave owners started raping and sexually assaulting their slaves, their female slaves, and creating the babies. Because then at that point they started, in a little bit, depending on the slave of how they wanted to operate, the slave owner, they wanted to operate, the master, they would treat, because that's their child. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the Roots, I didn't see the original Roots, but I saw the Roots that came out, what was it, in 2016 or 17 with the Nicanoni Rose, Jonathan Reyes, and then the guy that's in Bridgerton, that was also in, he was also in the TV show that Shonda Rhimes co-created or created or produced. That was on ABC, but it had a short run, For the People. I forgot his name, but he's really a handsome fella. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He was the product of that rape in that show, and so he was still treated very badly, but still had a little more freedom to move around, other than his mom or his dad, or like his mom and his dad. And I feel, on one hand, I feel that a lot of times dark-skinned people resent light-skinned people because they're light-skinned and they have a little more freedom and they can pass. If we still had that brown paper bag test today, they can pass off as white. I feel there's still a lot of colorism within our own community because we talk down to each other, and then when it comes times to celebrate each other, we won't. You know what I'm saying? Because we're always rooting for the underdog, which is the dark-skinned person, instead of the light-skinned person getting a lot of support as well. And I see why. Because if you notice, Halle Berry doesn't get the same support as Monique does, for example. Or Lupita, let's say, for it does. And a lot of times there was a lot of Halle Berry struggled in her career with that. Just throwing it out there as an example, because of her being of a mixed race. You know what I'm saying? She get a lot of pushback from the African American community based off of her skin tone complexion, and because she's a supermodel too, and we put each other down, especially women. God, you put each other down like rabid dogs based off of complexion, when one doesn't have to do with the other. Because if you're both rocking weaves, you both have a BBL, what's the difference? And it's always looked at based off of society standards that a lighter skinned black person is much of a beauty standard than a dark skinned black person. Because like I said, if you look at it, there are light skins out there that have big nose, big lips, big everything, just light skinned. But there are more dark skinned people that have the bigness of visual on their body, lips, nose, whatever, naturally, than light skinned, because they're either their bloodline came from going all the way back to slavery time, where that slave owner raped the slave, or it could be because their mom was black and their dad was white, and now you have a light-skinned baby that will then have that's black too and white, but has a skinny nose, thin lips, like Halle Berry or whatever that may have you. Now I don't know what her parents look like, but I'm just saying that could be a potential thing where the traits of a baby that's a product from a light-skinned interracial relationship could then produce a baby that doesn't look actually like a black, like, doesn't have black features, except for them being a caramel color. Which I always found questionable is sometimes I notice when it comes to interracial dating, how does I find it fascinating that the white gene is so strong that when the baby is born, the baby's not is more white looking than dark looking. And that's also colorism. I just questioning that. I'm not judging, I'm just questioning, like, wow, that's kind of fascinating. I've never seen in my book or looking at babies, I've never seen a baby that was a product from an interracial marriage or parents coming out to be dark skin. And I mean dark skin as like Monique or Jill Scott or even my complexion, you know what I'm saying? So that was just one thing I wanted to throw out there. And so when we look at that, we then judge people like Hallie because they have the white look, just they're lighter than us. So they get more roles and they're considered more pretty. They're this and they're that. And so then, you know what I'm saying? That's where that falls into. And so then we start judging because they get more movie roles or they get the job that we wanted. Instead of getting mad at the person that probably hired them based off of their look, instead of looking at what our talents bring to the table and who's the better talent or what things we bring to the table as individuals and who is better fit for the job, but now looking at our looks. So that's where then we tear each other down because of how society's beauty standards are viewed. That white people are very beautiful, light-skinned people up there, dark-skinned, no. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, you know what, hey, we're going to turn this around and we don't give a damn what you guys say, dark-skinned is just as beautiful as light-skinned, but at the end of the day, we're all black. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I feel like that ties back into the culture aspect because I do feel that, and I feel like I notice when you have interracial couples that, and I can give you a lot of examples, but where they have a child that is a product of you being black and your spouse being white, the child doesn't even recognize that they're black or partially black, or that they have black in them, or their culture, the part of their culture is black, and I feel like that's not celebrated. And that was one thing that Jill Scott had mentioned on a CNN episode where she had made a comment in, what was it, Essence magazine, I believe, or People magazine, about interracial dating, where Jill Scott, for me, I'm with Jill Scott. Love is love, but I feel like when you have a person that is necessarily white and you have a person that's necessarily black and they get together and have a baby, let's be real, white people don't have culture. They don't have culture. Their culture is taking from other people's culture, and I wouldn't say minimizing it, but like turning into Americanized, means the fast food chains and stuff like that. Like Panda Express, Asians, boom, Panda Express. You have fried chicken and all the soul food restaurants. Now you got Popeyes. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, you know? So like, you know, you have different, you know, you have tacos and enchiladas and stuff. You got a Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. That's what America does, you know? And so for us, we do the same thing within our own community, which is indirectly judge lighter skinned people because of the way they look. And I feel like when you have a white mom or dad and you have a black mom or dad and they create a baby, the culture gets lost. And so I'm all for love being love, but I really praise when you have a dark-skinned brother get with a dark-skinned sister, because that child's going to know they're black. They're going to celebrate their blackness. They're going to know what it means to be black. They're going to learn about their culture. And I'm not saying that a lot of these light-skinned people out here, they get with another light-skinned person or white person and they have a baby, they don't celebrate the blackness within them, you know. But I feel like a lot of times it gets lost in translation, and then a lot of times maybe that light-skinned person could think that they're better than actual dark-skinned people that are black as well, because they weren't taught what it means to be black, how to operate when you're black. And not saying that there's a way you need to operate when you're black, but you know what I'm saying. You know, the culture, the religion, all that stuff behind it that makes a black person black. If that, you know what I'm saying? Because black people, we're made up of a lot of things. You know, there's not one thing that it's solely that makes us black. There's a lot of different things, but I feel like a lot of things within the culture of black people, our heritage, our food, our religion, is not taught. Not to suppress the child to be like, hey, you need to be one of these things, but just to know where they come from. Because now they're white and they pass off as white, so they don't get the education of what it means to be black within themselves, or what it means to be black or have a black background. You know what I'm saying? You like they'll know that they have black grandparents, but they're not gonna really probably feel black, not only because you didn't educate them on their black side, or teach them about their culture or their religions or whatever like that fall in the category of African Americans, but because now they move freely because dad or mommy is white, and that's how they operate. And I noticed that with a lot of couples that have children, that's why dark skins and light skins always are at tension, because dark skins feel, and rightfully so I believe, that light skinned people don't know their heritage, and they look down on dark skins because we know our heritage, because that's us. But you can't really blame the light skinned person or the person that's lighter than you, because the fact of the matter is maybe they weren't taught it, or maybe it was, you know, they know it, but they have their own religion or faith or lifestyle or whatever may have you. You know what I'm saying? And so I see on one side why there's friction, but the side I don't see is why there is so much friction. Because, like I said, a white person looks at a black person, if you're light skinned or you're dark skinned or in between, if you're not white, you black, honey. You are a colored person. You know what I'm saying? At least for black people. Now, the word colored is for black, not for Mexicans or anybody else. I'm just stating, you know, because this is all about black people. And so that's why I don't find where the tension is, because they want us to fight within ourselves. But why are we? You should love the shade you're in, and I love the shade I'm in. And you shouldn't be putting me down for the shade I'm in because I may be darker than you, and you shouldn't be putting me down for the shade I am in because I'm lighter than you. Because no one's better than the next. But I do notice that a lot of people that are lighter skinned may get a job more than someone who is darker skinned. And especially if you're, like I was stating on yesterday's episode, if you're obese, or not obese, but if you're bigger, you definitely may not get the job. Especially if you're dark skinned and you're black and you're heavy set or you're voluptuous, you're definitely not going to get the part. Most likely not, which is very sad. So then you get the tension between us because of what society construes and sees as the standard of beauty. But beauty is in all of us. So, and that's their perspective of beauty. But why can't black people have our own perspective of beauty and saying, hey, whether you're skinny, you're tall, you're fat, you're short, you're dark skinned, you're light skinned, you're in between, long as you being black, you are beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So as for colorism, we need to reach within ourselves and start to celebrate within ourselves what our color means to us. And the fact that as black people, we should be proud that we can come in all different shapes and sizes and colors. And we're the only race that can do that. Seriously. I don't see Italians and Mexicans, they come in dark-skinned and light-skinned. But come on, if you truly look at the African spectrum, now African-Americans, because we're Africans, remember, we just happen to be born in America, so that's what makes Americans. But we're Africans. Look at the spectrum of Africa. We can be white as white, and we can be dark as damn near a black hole in the damn outer space. That's how, and we range in that. So why are we fighting for it? Based off of what society considers as this to be beautiful. And sometimes it has to do with lack of confidence in yourself and self-respect. you know, because like that saying goes, if somebody is putting you down, sometimes it's not about what they think about you, is what they think about or feel about themselves and what's missing within themselves. But then it's also pitting us against each other because directly and indirectly, knowingly, that society is doing that to us. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that within religion, the same thing. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? We praise. There's colorism in religion. We think that Jesus was white. what kind of in the Bible they explain what Jesus' appearance looked like. Now they never really, they talked briefly maybe about color of what he, I think maybe what it was look like, maybe or maybe not. But I remember in the book of Revelations it talked about Jesus having hair like wool, eyes like flame of fire, and his feet, his body, or at least his feet, was bronze. So would that be our bronze color? Now when I think of bronze, I'm thinking of dark skin, like my color, but really shiny. You know, that's what the color bronze is. You know, if you were to take me and paint on some not lubricant, but like some shine on me, you know, like, you know, wax. There we go. The stuff that, like, stuff they put on cars. You know, when you have you get the color black without the stuff on there, and then you get it the reflectant. Yeah, kind of like that. You know, we put colorism on everything, but why? Especially for black people. But I believe Jesus was a brother, or somewhere close to it at least, because how our brother gonna be born in Africa in hair like wool, eyes like flaming fire, feet like bronze, and you not be somewhere in there? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Jesus had a Jerry curl like Soul Glow off of Coming to America, but I'm just saying. but but not to get off track. Just the colorism game is a very dangerous thing, and this is another conversation we need to normalize, because it still happens until this day. We're still divided as black people because if you're considered dark skinned, it means you don't want to work, you're lazy, you don't have no worth ethic, you're depressed all the time, you don't eat all the time, you ugly, you don't get no jobs, you have lack of self-respect, you're unsuccessful, you're poor. If you're light skinned, tailored to white, then you're presumed to be more happy, you're presumed to be more loving, you're presumed to be more wealthy, presumed to be have a more prosperous life. Happiness ain't based off of color, and peace ain't based off of color, and love ain't based off of color. So these are things that within the black community we need to normalize within ourselves, because it's imperative that we love on every size, every shape, every color, every height within our own being, because if we're not together, then it's easy for us to then fall apart. You know what I'm saying? And that's not okay. Like I said, the colorism game is a very dangerous thing, and I feel it still goes back to that time where it goes back to slavery. You know, where we've had those issues where it came from and then it came from came from slavery times, and where the masters would rape the slaves, and then it arced into you're naturally light skinned, just born light skinned. You can have two dark parents and then come out light skinned, and then the brown paper bag test, and we judged our own kind for that. We didn't accept our own kind, because it wasn't just white people doing the brown paper bag test, it was black people doing the brown paper bag test to each other. That's factually driven, that we did that to each other. And that right there, that's another reason why the fight, we fight within our own community about the colorism game. Now, there was one thing I want to say, and I totally forgot what it is, because I was going to mention it after stating till 2022. I made the comment about slavery, and then I did the brown paper bag test, and then I was stating the I was stating something about 2022 and being it today, but if I remember it, I'll mention it on the next episode, which will be happening tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be talking about inflation. But anywho, yeah, it's like I said, I believe in interracial dating. I believe love is love at the end of the day. I just don't feel that a lot of times lighter skinned people are enriched with the black culture as if you were dark skinned. Because a lot of times, like having the talk about, there's a certain age where unfortunately black men have to have the talk with their black sons about, hey, this is how you operate when a police is knocking at your door, when you get pulled over by the cops. This is what you do. This is what you say. Yes, sir. No, sir. You keep it very strict, professional. Keep your hands and And I mentioned this on the last season. My mom never had that talk with me. She never told me what it was that to be for me to be black. So I never had to have that idea of that suppression in my mind of what it meant to be black. So I was able to support my blackness and love my blackness fullest to the extent. And luckily, I have had issues running in with cops, but not where they, use excessive force or anything, or anything tragic happened to me. If anything, I was the one doing tragic stuff to them or saying tragic stuff to them. Luckily enough, nothing happened. Um, but I never ran into the cops where I've had any police brutality or anything happen to me. Thank God. And do I worry about that? No, because I'm not going to allow my blackness suppress me. I'm Abir Vassar Rutherford, and I'm black, and I'm proud of it, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not going to allow what other societal standards and views about black people suppress me. And every time I see a cop car behind me, worry whether or not they're going to pull me over, and if they do pull me over, they're going to shoot me, and I'm just not going to do it like that. Not because I don't, not because I think I'm all that in a bag of chips, or I'm Mr. Goody Two Shoes. It's just because I love my blackness, and I wear it at the forefront of me every day. It's my skin, it's my representation, and I celebrate it proudly with no hesitation, no concentration, what did Mary J. Blige say? No hesitation. I don't trip about it. It's part of me, and I ain't tripping, I ain't hating on it. I'm not gonna allow nobody to scare me of my blackness. You know what I'm saying? And if I were to have a child with an interracial, a white woman or a Mexican woman or someone that's not black, I'm going to heavily enrich my child in what it means to be black. If I can show y'all my house right now, I got everything. I got elephants with African patterns on it. I got African female artwork on my walls. I got African drums around here. I got African outfits, the turbans I wear, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm enriched in my blackness, so my child would know. I just ask that that's why I'm saying I can see why, as I mentioned, that a lot of times there's friction between lights and darks, because based off of their unawareness of our culture, and they weren't taught that growing up. And that should be taught just as much as you teach them just to live life however they want. If they were a white person, now that they're mixed, they should be taught what it means to be black, and what it means to have a culture as big and loving and as trustworthy as Africans have it. Which I think, I just remembered. One last thing I wanted to talk about is there was a clip, and I may have mentioned this before, and I'm trying to still find that clip. This I saw on, either it was on Facebook or YouTube or something, where this African woman was talking about how she wants us to come back home to Africa. How Africans truly miss African Americans, and we should come back home because we're not getting the justice and the freedom that we deserve here. You know what I'm saying? And I would proudly love to go back to Africa. I want to have a home in Africa, a vacation home in Africa. Hell yeah, go out there and just visit the motherland. Get those flies that are this big that just I was talking about, just coming right up on you, and then you swat it and it just, you know what I'm saying? I would love to. But yeah, let's normalize this conversation, y'all. Colorism is a deadly sin within our own community. And nowhere, as I've seen in the Bible, it talks about being darker is a sin. They talk about it in the KKK. They talk about it, in the white supremacy groups and stuff, and how we're dirty and stuff like that, and want to scrub us with soap to try to wash us off and pour bleach on it. Look, my blackness ain't going nowhere, and I'm gonna go add some cocoa butter to my skin right now because I'm a little ashy. Embrace my melatonin in my skin. You know what I'm saying? And dark-skinned people, look at the bright side. At least you won't have to get sunburns, because it is a scientific proven fact that the darker you are, the less sunburns you're gonna get. Bam, look at it that way. That's one up on the light-skinned person. But like I said, we're not doing here to do this, who's better at what, and light-skinned versus dark, which one's better based off of body and looks and type. I was just throwing something out there. But I thank y'all so much for watching this episode. Like I said, colorism is a hefty world. And yes, it is factually proven that the darker you are, the less you get paid. The darker you are, the worse you're treated. The darker you are, the way you move about life is much harder for you. You're considered more dangerous, especially if you're rocking your culture the way I rock my culture and a lot of other black people do. You know what I'm saying? And there's light skins out there that do rock the black culture, and they're damn look good in it. And there's a lot of us that judge them because they're lighter than us and we feel that they shouldn't. But I'm not one of those people. I feel like if you're black, or you have some black in you, rock your blackness. Just respect the blackness and the African side of you, and don't tarnish it or ruin it, because it's sacred. It's a sacred thing. Excuse me. But I love y'all so much for watching. Oh God. I love y'all so much for watching. Thank you so much for this platform to be able to allow me to talk and express my opinions. I hope that I may have, I feel like I didn't, but may or may have presented both sides of the fence in my opinion on things and where I stand, because I think that, like I said, dark skin is just as beautiful as light skinned people. Okay, you guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as you know, at Arvia Vassal. You can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at The Analytical Eye Show, and on Twitter at iAnalytical. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about inflation and prices and how that is affecting us as a whole, and how that's relating to a terminology that I do want to discuss with you guys that I recently was just brought in on and talking about at work. So I thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to check out Light of the Sundays, and have a happy, blessed Sunday. God bless you all. Have a good day. Cheers. And take out some time to love on the dark skins and the light skins.